That's the bike. 74 Yamaha DT500. Currently at about 16K. Last, it's been about 12,000 miles under my ownership. Ridden this thing quite a bit. Was commuting on it for a while, and nowadays it's kind of been just parked in my garage more often than not. Now that it's finished, I don't really have a whole lot of interest. There's not much else I can do with it. There's maybe a little more power in that motor, but I'll be damned if it's necessary to find it. It's got plenty. My best guess would be probably mid 40s, maybe high 40s. I don't know. It's possible. The software that we use to design that pipe, was thinking that with that pipe and the amount of exhaust port area or time area, this thing would make about 52 horsepower, assuming everything else, transfer porting and everything, was exactly, on point. So the airbox is knocking off a few horsepower off the top, and it adds it to the bottom, so I kind of like that. It definitely improves the low end. Carburetion's a little cleaner with the airbox as opposed to having a pod filter just clamped onto the carb. For all-out power, of course, if you just clamp a filter on that carb, it runs better. You get a little more top end, but I really don't think that's necessary. And I do like the clean carburation you get from having an airbox. So that's what's on the bike. That's what's been on the bike. I like it. It provides a little better protection for the air filter element, which is easily serviceable. But yeah, look at that pipe. Jeez, sheesh. So remarkable that it fits. It's uses up all the room and more. The stock pipe went through the same routing, and of course we added a little bit of extra length with that header, the way it wraps around, and that really helps the low mid of the power band. The stock pipe doesn't quite have enough length for that. Tank's in great shape. See, the paint's minty fresh. Got a little bit of I guess you call it patina, a little scratch right there. That predates my ownership. I'm sure there's a story to that, but I couldn't tell you. I wasn't around for that one. Inside the tank looks probably better than the outside. It's pristine, rust free, nothing in there but gasoline. As far as that, I guess that would be going to segue into the oil injection. This is running the original oil injection. Just running what I got in there now? Pennzoil, whatever. I've run all kinds of these injection oils, and they all work just fine. Really can't go wrong. It's all better than what these things were designed to run on back in the 70s. It's an AGM 12-volt battery to go with the 12-volt ignition system, which came from Rex's Speed Shop in the UK. Nothing left under here that's stock other than the flywheel, the stator plate, lighting coil, source coil, or whatever. All that CDI stuff is all new, so kind of resolves one of the bigger issues with these vintage bikes was the crappy ignition. Not super reliable, and that's been taken care of now. So yeah, a little bit of wear on the tank from the seat rubbing. Somebody's battery leaked at some point under here, but it hasn't gotten any worse over the course of my ownership, and probably won't for a very long time. If you want to clean this all up, be my guest. You can buy it and take better care of it than I did. Never been big on washing bikes for various reasons, most of which is I don't like what water does to bikes, so I leave them a little dirty. A little bit of water causes a lot of rust, and I don't see any benefit. So yeah, this thing's not like pristine. It's not show quality. It's been ridden. It's ready to ride. You can take it out and get it dirty, or you could clean it up, whatever. But I've kept it dry. That's kind of the point here. It's there's no real advantage to pressure washing them and keeping them spotless and sparkling. That's how you end up rusting things like spoke nipples, for example. You keep the water off of these things and they just don't deteriorate. That's one reason I have an AGM in here as well. Previous owners, somebody since 74, somebody in the last 50 years had a battery leak and ruined the fantastic paint on that oil tank. The battery in here, of course, now has that gelled electrolyte, so it's not going to do that. But I have another tank that I'll throw in with the bike that looks quite a bit better. But that's what's on here now. It's good enough. Gets the job done. It holds oil. So oil injection is fully functional, all original, using I think this is a 360 pump. I've been through it, resealed it, Doesn't leak a drop. It's clean on the bottom side here. Just, yeah, it doesn't leak. Just put a clutch cover gasket on here too. That was seeping just a little bit. I think I used an NOS old stock gasket when I built this motor, and it was a little bit too hard to seal up. So put a fresh gasket on there, and it looks like that's doing the job. The motor, yeah, 496 cc's. That's just, man, that's a big bore, 95 millimeter bore. And just looking at it, it's a massive cylinder. It's a huge jug on this thing. Kind of reflects the character of the engine. It's a big bore. It's got big torque, big power. In contrast to the original SC500, this thing makes excellent low end. The mid-range is potent, and by the time you get up to around 4,500, it's getting a little rowdy. 4,500 till about 7, it's running hard. This thing rips. I'm not sure if the speedo can really keep up. The way it accelerates, it kind of looks like when you pull a wheelie and you set the front wheel down and you just watch that speedometer and it'll go from 0 and it just kind of goes whoosh, and it kind of just swings, you know. That's kind of how this thing is when you're banging gears, running flat out. I'm pretty sure the bike's going faster than the speedo can keep up. First gear, the front wheel's going to come up. There's nothing you can do. It's geared 1744. It's got the original SC500 4-speed transmission for durability. So first gear is tall. It's kind of like second or maybe second and a half on the stock 360. But still, it's going to yank that wheel up. And if you click in a second and you keep on the power, it'll carry the wheel in a second. It'll lift the wheel up in third at 60 miles an hour. If you want, it'll do it. You know, I don't feel great about that. You know, it's a little bit hairy, but yeah, I mean, that's the bike. See, overall conditions quite good.